If you like this video, don't forget to join my email list, where you'll get regular inspirational letters from yours truly and updates on my latest videos and courses. You can find the link in the description below. When I was a kid, I hated running. Anytime we had to run in physical education class, I would do anything I could to get out of it. If I couldn't get out of it, I would walk the whole way through and wind up with a terrible time. Then one day during my junior year of high school, a couple of my close friends decided that they wanted to join track and field. At the time, I was interested in getting myself in better shape, so when they asked me to join with them, I decided to say yes. I knew that I was terrible at running, but I figured I could skate by doing the bare minimum and hopefully reap the benefits of more regular cardio exercise. I decided the only thing suited to me was the dreaded 1600 meter, or the mile as we call it here in the US. I wasn't fast, so it didn't make sense for me to run sprints, and I had absolutely no interest in things like pole vaulting or shot put. This left me with no option. I had to make the mile my event of choice. The long-distance coach immediately recognized myself and a couple other girls as needing some extra training. Looking to get us out of the way, he told us to run around the large field next to the track and field stadium while he and the other long-distance runners headed out on their more serious 3 to 6 mile run. This turned into an excuse for the three of us to slack off during practice. Instead of running around the entire field, which is what he expected us to do, we would walk our way around it at a leisurely pace, chatting and laughing and screwing around the entire way. This went on for about 4 weeks until we approached our first meet. The day of the meet, I was freaking out. I knew I hadn't really been practicing like I was supposed to, and I was convinced that there was no way I could run a full mile nonstop. I tried to get the coach to let me off the hook by complaining that I was having some discomfort in my right quad and that I might have torn something. He saw right through my song and dance and brushed it off, telling me to get my butt over to the starting line. When the gun went off, I started to run, the whole time thinking that there was no way I was going to manage all 4 full laps around the track I had to complete. But as I ran, something strange happened. I didn't feel like giving up after the first lap, or the second, or even the third. That's not to say that I didn't feel fatigued as the race wore on, but as I rounded the corner into my 4th and final lap, I realized that I was going to make it to the finish line. The lesson I learned that day is that a little goes a long way. Yes, it's true, I hadn't been running as much as the coach intended me to, but I was also very new to running and lacked any real endurance. What I had done by walking my way around that field every school day for the previous 4 weeks was begin to build my endurance slowly but surely. And by the end of the 4 weeks, I discovered that I could in fact run an entire mile now without feeling like I was ready to collapse in exhaustion. After that, I started running 2 miles every day, then 3, then 4, until finally I built enough endurance that by the end of the season, I was running the full 6 miles with the veteran long-distance runners. We often feel like the only way to learn something new is to hit the ground running, as they say. The idea is to fully immerse yourself in something in hopes that you will quickly find your bearings. The problem is that this methodology frequently leads to rapid burnout. You are immediately met with overwhelm, and this drives you to either push yourself so hard you run out of gas, or you give up before you've even really started. It is yet another example of the hurried way we live our lives in contemporary culture. But when we hurry, we simply miss out on everything. I have always wanted to write since as far back as I can remember, but for a long time I just felt like I couldn't do it. Every time I would sit down and try to write something, I would be overcome by this sense that it wasn't any good. I'd get caught up in every single word and every turn of phrase to the point that I could hardly type a single sentence without it taking a painfully long time. Then I started learning some very basic, very simple writing tactics from a trusted marketing coach. The idea was to write an email a day to your list. And while I didn't make this email a day quota, it did get me started practicing this very simple method of condensed storytelling. And recently, very recently, I finally decided to sit down and do some serious writing that I've been wanting to work on for years. And suddenly, I've found that I'm able to do it and to let go of the bullshit expectations that come along with it. All that email writing was just like those run walks around the field in high school. Baby steps in the path to building something greater. My photography work has progressed in much the same way, though I've practiced a lot more erratically with my photography. I've gone through both periods of great productivity and massive dry spells. Ultimately, it's the tiny steps which have accumulated over time and transformed my work into what it is today. Looking back, I wish I had taken more of the "a little goes a long way" approach with my photography, because I see now that I would have progressed more quickly if I had. And that's the magic of "a little goes a long way." Small, consistent steps ultimately take you much further, much more quickly than giant, sporadic ones. And if you're like me, biting off more than you can chew will always lead into the unfortunate pattern of feast or famine. I don't know about you, but I'd rather take things slow, trust the process, and watch it all unravel, inch by inch, bit by bit, until one day you find you've cultivated something exciting and even unexpected.